When I think about Serge Ibaka, I think about a player with a lot of versatility, a lot of championship DNA, and when healthy, he's definitely a championship caliber type player that you would want on your team. But in regards to the Clippers, are they moving on from Serge Ibaka slowly? Are they too concerned about his injuries? Let's just go ahead and talk about it. Serge has been one of the best shot blockers in the NBA for years. He's been one of the best defenders in the NBA for years. But at the same time, these last couple seasons, he's been one of the most injured. And when you think about that in its entirety, how can the Clippers utilize him and his talents going forward to help them win if they're not certain about his health? And that's definitely a big thing when you think about how good of a player he can be and how versatile of a player he is and what he can bring to your team as far as dynamic. Now, I've said before, I definitely love his basketball IQ. I said before, I definitely love the fact that he's the type of player who's unselfish and who wants to be in a locker room and bring a good presence and be a locker room guy, be a role model for the younger players in there. He's definitely one of them type players, and I feel like he's definitely one of those players that every locker room needs. But the only problem is when you look at Serge Ibaka now, do you see anything of what he was before? You may see it in flashes and instances, but as of right now, you don't see it enough. And it could be due to the fact that Ty Lue is not giving him enough minutes. But when you think about the reason why Ty Lue is not giving him enough minutes, in which he spoke on in regards to Serge Ibaka, saying that Serge Ibaka's fine, saying everything is okay with him. But at the same time, it just looks like Isaiah Hartenstein is really the guy that's going to be the forefront going forward. I mean, of course, you could add Zubac in there. But at the same time, Serge Ibaka seems like his minutes are waning more and more. And it just seems like Serge Ibaka really isn't ever going to get back to his full status of how he was. I mean, you have to understand, one back surgery, two back surgeries, doesn't matter. Any type of back surgery you get, it really limits everything you can do mobility wise. And it really limits you as a player of what you used to be. And the Clippers, I'm not sure if they're really actually looking at, the fact that Isaiah Hartenstein is playing so good and they can't play Serge Ibaka, or are they just looking at, well, Serge Ibaka is coming off a huge injury. We don't want to put too much on him and too much risk that he gets hurt again and we can't use his services going forward. It's got to be one of the two, because when you look at it, Serge Ibaka is too good of a weapon, too good of a player, and he's been a household name in the NBA way too long not to get more minutes, not to get the opportunities. But when you think about it in this form of fashion, you got to be careful with Serge Ibaka, because back injuries are nothing to play with. We saw what happened to Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was a mega superstar at one time, but 2 back injuries he had, and I think a surgery turned him into a role player at best. And that's what happens to players. Things like this happen. And I'm not sure if the Clippers plan on keeping Serge Ibaka. It really wouldn't surprise me, maybe by next year or maybe even All-Star break this season, they might even think about, sending Serge Ibaka to another team if they're thinking about trade acquisitions like we talked about yesterday in yesterday's video. It wouldn't really surprise me. I hope it doesn't happen, because I've always liked Serge Ibaka. And if you lose a player like him, to me, like I said, you're losing not only a good locker room guy, but you're losing a good role model to the younger guys. And like I said, even though he might not play to the level that he used to, but he still can teach Zubac. He still can teach Isaiah Hartenstein how to be a big man in this league with a presence, how to be a big man that knows how to, control a game on the defensive end and come on the offensive end and attribute and give additional points and give additional help. He's definitely good enough to do that. And I know, a lot of people may not look at it this way, but I'm definitely starting to feel like that's the way it's going, because Ty Lue, I believe he can play Serge Ibaka more minutes than what he does, but I feel like he's just being overly precautious because he really likes the guy. He really doesn't want to see the guy get hurt, but he does want the guy to be out there and contribute. But it's like only but so much, Serge Ibaka can do. Serge Ibaka is never going to be the Serge he was on the OKC Thunder. Really, the Clippers really just need him to kind of be the Serge he was on the Toronto Raptors a couple years ago when him and Kawhi won the championship. That's the Serge Ibaka they really need. They're not looking for the Serge Ibaka from OKC days, because they know that's not coming back. They know that's not going to happen. They know that's not, feasible to even think. But at this point, you have to ask yourself, is it really feasible to think he can be what he was in 2018, 2019, with the Toronto Raptors and be that effective? You have to ask yourself, can he do that for a substantial period of time during the season, 82 games, and take it into the playoffs and give you the same energy, the same everything? It's possible, but like I said, that's 2-3 years. That's 3 years removed from him being that type player. And, that's 3 years older that he is now rather than him being 3 years younger back then. So when you look at that in its entirety, it's one of those situations where the Clippers' hands are really tied because they really like Serge Ibaka. They really know what he can bring. They know his versatility. They know his basketball IQ. They see how smart he is. They see it every day in practice. They know what type of good guy he is off the court, but all that doesn't matter if it doesn't attribute to them doing what's best for the organization. And me personally, like I said, I would hate to see them lose Serge Ibaka. I personally think if for some reason they traded Serge Ibaka and got back something not even remotely close to his talent of when he was healthy, I personally think Kawhi Leonard might actually think about leaving the team. And that may be a far-fetched statement, but when you got to look at it in its entirety, Kawhi Leonard wants to win, and he wanted Serge to come there to help him win, just as he did when they were on Toronto a couple years ago, because Kawhi likes high IQ basketball players. He really doesn't like players that just know how to put the ball in the basket and score and, be flashy. Kawhi doesn't care about being flashy. Kawhi cares about winning championships. Flashiness don't help you win championships. Being focused, understanding the game, basketball IQ, high basketball IQ, understanding what the moments are in every game, understanding situational basketball, understanding what is asked of you and how to do it at a high level is what Kawhi Leonard cares about, because that's how he goes about his business. That's how he plays. He plays to his maximum in every phase of the game that he can to help his team win, which makes him a great player that he's always been for years and years in the NBA since he's been here. And he likes players that kind of mimics a little bit of his mindset on the basketball court. And a player like Serge Ibaka has always done that. But, when you look at the Clippers right now, it's hard to pull Isaiah Hartenstein out of the lineup or letting him come into the lineup, coming off the bench and getting a lot of minutes, because the guy has high energy. The guy is really skilled, as far as, playing the game on the level he does. And like I said, I've said before, you can't teach energy. Energy is just something some people have. Some people have a high motor, some people don't. Hardenstein has a high motor. He's definitely one of them guys who's hungry. He's trying to get paid. He's trying to, build a home somewhere. And the Clippers right now are the team that he can do that with. And he has an opportunity to do that with. So he's playing really well. I've been impressed with him since the, off-season summer league and everything. I've been impressed with him, for a while, since I've been seeing him. He's definitely a player that a championship team would love to have. And, the Clippers definitely found something in him. And, there's been some games this season Zubac has played pretty good, shown a little bit more signs. And that could be because he see the emergence of Hardenstein and how good he's playing. Maybe that helps Zubac pick his game up more. And those are the things that are happening right now. And honestly, like I said, thinking about Serge, man, I don't know how good he's going to be off this back injury. I've watched him, several games that he's played, the little few minutes that he has, and he looks okay. He doesn't look bad, but he doesn't look like Toronto Serge Ibaka. And that's exactly who the Clippers were hoping that they would get, because if they got that Serge Ibaka, well, the Clippers will more likely definitely be a championship caliber type team, because now you have somebody like him who brings so much versatility, who can shoot 17 feet and in. He can hit threes. He's a decent free throw shooter. He can knock down, big shots in the waning parts of a game, and he can play defense. And I'm not saying that they're not going to utilize him, going forward if they decide to keep him and don't trade him. But it's really starting to look like they're being so conservative with Serge Ibaka that they're almost thinking in their mind, yeah, we can be conservative with him, but, if we have an opportunity to get somebody else to come in and, give us more minutes and give us more versatility, and somebody who is equivalent to him, I don't see why the Clippers wouldn't even at least be considering him being a part of a trade if they're going to make a trade. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. I really would hate to see it, but I really wouldn't surprise me, because honestly, if they could trade somebody like Patrick Beverley, who a lot of people like and a lot of people didn't like, but I would say more Clipper Nation did like him because of his feistiness and how he played defense. If they could trade somebody like that who had very, very high value for this team in regards to being the heart and soul player, in regards to being the heart and soul of the team and the organization in general, and being one of the best defenders on the team, that actually helped them get to where they got to last year in the playoff, which is the conference finals for the first time, along with some of his, defensive prowess, then it's easy for them to trade a Serge Ibaka, who is, injury, I'm not gonna say injury prone, but he's definitely limited in what he can do now. And he definitely probably is not going to be the Serge Ibaka he was in Toronto 3 years ago. And it's, what I'm saying, when you look at it from that aspect, it's easy to let a player go who you see that's waning in his career rather than being in the beginning of his career and he's about to take off. And when you think about Hartenstein, that's what it looks like he's about to do. It looks like more and more he plays, the better and better he plays, the better and better he gets. And it looks like the more and more you watch Serge Ibaka sometime, it looks like the older and older he gets. You see what I'm saying? It just looks that way. So at least that's what I see. I still see talent in Serge Ibaka. I still see, his versatility. I still see him contributing, but to the level of Toronto, the level of OKC, of course, no, he's not going to, I'm not sure if he's going to contribute to that type level. And if he doesn't put out that type of effort and they don't see that in practices, if they don't see his mobility, getting better and things like that, or getting more swift on his feet, how he was, I wouldn't be surprised if they do trade him. And like I said, I hate to see that happen because I was pushing for Serge to come when Kawhi Leonard said he wanted Serge to come in that, off season when they, that they had. And, I definitely like high IQ basketball players myself. And I think he's definitely one of them. And I think he's a vital piece to the Clippers. I really do. Even though he hasn't been playing much the last couple of years, I still think he's a vital piece. And I think he's even more of a vital piece if he's on the floor. And the fact that, I'm saying, he's not really getting but so much minutes, and really his production is really not even close to what it was. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they make a decision, but we'll see what they do, and we'll just kind of go from there. But hey, that's my take on the situation. You leave any comments in the comment section. You let me know what you think about it. And hey, Cali out.